Oh, we're going to need some hefty drink for this one. You asked for it. All right, here we go. Ugh. Dungeon Crawl Classics. All right, so this is Goodman Games' kind of crazed 3 in the morning love letter to Dungeons and Dragons. I say crazed 3 in the morning thing because it's the kind of love letter that you send to someone and then hold the boombox over your head, playing loud music outside their dorm in the hope that they'll, eventually notice you. This is just a frenetic, crazy, happy, weird, just crazed piece of game work. I love it entirely. Look, so there's been several sort of OSR, old school rules, attempts to essentially rekindle old Dungeons and Dragons, from brown box through to advanced D&D. These guys, however, took it on a different route, and it's a crazy route, and it's a success. Everything in this is frenetic, but what they decided they would do is D&D had sort of become a system. Characters work in a set way. There are set spells which are used as absolute utilities. The spell always functions in exactly this way. I cast a fireball, it explodes in exactly this way, in this volume, with this intensity. So technologies, and the same went for the characters and the monsters. We know this guy's exactly this tough, he takes this kind of damage, he's immune to these kind of things. So you could get people wandering around like, I don't even care about that monster, well, it physically can't harm me. Oh, that spell's going to go off, all right, I will stand 31 feet away. Why? Because I've got a 30-foot blast range, so I'll be 1 foot out of range. This kind of stuff was going on. So these guys decided, no, let's make everything wild, everything wacky, everything variable. Let's stop making something where it games a system. Let's bring back the fun and the crazy and the wonder, keeping kind of within a D&D frame. So what they've done is, you've got classes. Now they've taken the lead for their classes from original Dungeons and Dragons. So races are classes. Warriors, you've got clerics, you've got thieves. However, dwarves and elves and halflings are their own character classes that do their own valuable things in their valuable ways. Now, the characteristics are not the same. They've brought in, instead of wisdom and charisma and so on, what they did was they decided they would bring in luck as a characteristic, personality. So we haven't got wisdom, which was kind of vague, and charisma is a little bit vague, but we've replaced them with things better, clearer. They've got their definite things. So now the luck characteristic, more on that later, but what happens is essentially it's a resource that you can burn. You can burn your luck and it gets you bonuses on rolls and things, which of course can include saving throws against death, or when your character goes below 0 hit points and you have to roll to see if you actually die. Obviously you use your luck to try and save on that. It's a finite resource that you burn. However, some character classes regenerate it, such as thieves, okay, because they rely on luck. So for them it heals kind of over days of rest the way other people would heal hit points. So you've got all the usual kind of species and races and things that you can take there, but there's 2 interesting layers to the characters. So first off, there's the crush. One of the things they suggested, and this is where it gets crazy and I adore it, you make a bunch of 0 level characters. These are guys who don't have a class. They are just villagers. They are college students. They are peasants. They are townsfolk or whatever. So you roll and you just take what you roll. And you roll like half a dozen, 10 of these guys. And you've got this occupation thing, you roll for what they are. So here we go, they could be apprentice to the local grave digger. They could be apprentice to the local baker. They could be apprentice to alchemists. They could be a barrister. They could be whatever. Now, an adventure is run for these 0 level characters. And the idea is, most of these guys are gonna die because, oh, a dimensional portal opened up, or hey guys, I've seen this old tomb, or oh, the tax collector's coming and no one's got any money, but there's been an earthquake and this old barrow's opened up. I bet there's money in there. Let's go and get that and we'll pay the taxes on that. So off you all go, and we've had just so much fun with these ridiculous zero-level adventures because you're making use of the incredibly limited resources you've got. So I'm apprentice to the local grave digger. Oh, okay. Well, what are my resources? Oh, well, I've got a wheelbarrow and I've got like Uncle Freddy's corpse in it. Right? Good, fine. And what's Barry got over there? Well, he's a farmer, but he's got a long stick and he's got 5 pigs. So, all right, well, off we go on an adventure with lots of it. And so, all right, well, we need to see if there's traps down here. Well, I'll tell you what, let's take the stick and we'll push the wheelbarrow with the corpse down there and see if it sets the thing off. Yes, all these darts go off and stick into the corpse. Like, oh, we'll haul it back and we'll push it down again. No, they were one up. All right, so... After a while, the corpse is looking a bit bad. So, hang on. Right. Well, we've got to get this back by Monday. Oh, can we go for a closed coffin? Eventually, we'll get fireballed or something. It's like, all right. Oh, well, we have to get rid of this. Feed it to the pigs. But absolute chaos. But the idea is, you come out with these survivors at the end, and you've kind of grown attached to them because these are the ones that survived and used these silly resources to somehow thunder through. So the fact that they may not be the ones that have got 18s and 17s and characteristics and whatever, it doesn't matter. These are the ones that have now got the story behind them and they've got experience and so on. Now they become first level characters, and you roll a class for them, and they get more hit points and they get the powers and so on. So you might end up running more than one character, and what a great idea. So there are a lot of dungeons and so on that they've done a lot of adventures, and you'll find a lot online that are just these crushes, these zero-level character things designed for people with absolutely no hit points and no equipment, no armor, and blee. And we have had some where like nobody died. Just like someone's now got about 10 characters, but whatever. So right from the start, the idea is that nothing works on set, stayed, stolid guidelines. So, warriors. Everyone gets this sort of feat dice. So, the warriors, they can use these dice and they can roll it in addition to their normal hit rolls and so on in combat. And this adds to their roll to hit, and it adds to their damage. But you can also use this to make a feat of arms, a mighty feat of arms. So you're trying to bash this guy back away from the door. You're trying to disarm this thing. You were trying to, somehow cut through the necklace that holds the amulet of power around the lich's neck. These are the sort of things that you use this for these kind of called shots. You've got that. Thieves, they rely on their luck. They can kind of use their luck very, very readily because it grows back, and they get a little feat dice, and that goes into thievy sort of things, ducking, dodging. It goes into saving throws and all these sorts of things. So they can live this kind of lucky and more frenetic life. The system guides them towards it. Hobbits, the halflings, they're kind of neat because they can fight a bit. They're thieves a bit. It's kind of very interesting kind of blend character, but they use luck themselves very readily, but they also act as a kind of a good luck charm for the party. Having a halfling around is lucky, and you can draw off, or they can give their luck to other people, and that's actually useful because they regenerate luck too, so they can pass the luck on as some cute kind of resource management for the party there. The elves can both fight and do magic. They've got quite kind of specific schools of magic that they're in, and because they're very long-lived, they get interesting relationships with the patrons from whom all power comes. More on that later. The clerics, now, as we get into magic use, here's where the thing excels. Those spells aren't technologies. So, D&D, oh yeah, I've got 5 heal wounds, these guys have got this damage, alright, so you roll the dice and on it goes, it's kind of boring, whatever. No. Every spell is rolled for like a skill. You have to activate it, and you roll a 1 and it doesn't work. For a cleric, if you've rolled and failed, it means you've displeased your god, and your chance of failing goes up the more you displease. So this is kept track of, but you also have to roll on these charts. What's this pleasure and what do you have to do to get rid of this ongoing burden of displeasure that's over you. And there's a whole array of things that you roll for, but it's like, or you may have to try and convert someone to the god's cause. You've got to go out there and convert. You've got to preach on the streets. You've got to you've got to go knocking on doors. Hello, have you heard of the Church of Vishnak? So it's making you be a cleric for once. But it also means that you don't just chuck healing spells and things around. You've got to think of it. I've got at least a 1 in 20 chance of having something unpleasant kind of burden me. So you have to be careful. You can't just fall into these things all the time. And of course, the more displeased your god is with you, the more extreme stuff you have to do to bring him back. The magic users, all their power comes from some sort of patron. It could be the Earl King, it could be some hideous Eldar god, it could be some strange exoplanar being, and so on. There are a number of these in the back of the book, and there are sort of guidelines for creating your own. What they would really like a player who's going to really get into this game to do is sit down with the umpire and you make something. We all did it as kids, get back into doing, I want to worship Azathoth, a giant blob of jelly. Great, fantastic, we'll figure out what it does. The patron has special spells that it gives you and special abilities and so on, so you can just work that out. But the magic, now again, when your spell roll fails, you've had spell failure, and there can be a backblast. You take a little check, and there could be a chaotic backblast. Now it depends on whether it's sort of lesser, moderate, or huge, what chart you roll on, but it can do things. It can mutate you. It can do terrible things to you. You can use luck to mitigate this roll. But you can also do a thing called spell burn. So you can actually give up characteristic points. You will heal them back, but you can drain characteristic points to make your spells work. You add that to the roll. So I'm going to cast this, but I'm going to blow like 6 points of strength and put that into the spell. So you're actually kind of drawing on your resources to massively overpower these things. You'll heal them back slowly. If you put 20 points in one go, you get this sort of critical effect automatically. Kablam. The spells, like I said, they're not technologies. Now, D&D's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of spells. So this has all the ones we love. It's got the stuff that works. It hasn't got the thousands and thousands of spells because every single spell is kind of its own story. Firstly, every magic user is completely unique as to how they approach magic and how it affects them. So when you learn a spell, you just roll on this big random chart, and this is how this spell works for you. That spell might have an extra effect when you roll it, but it might do stuff. Every time you throw this spell, you fall asleep afterwards. Every time you throw this spell, it rains frogs. Whenever you roll this spell, you get itchy, or you get some hair loss. Or when I roll this spell, butterflies explode everywhere. There's just this whole range of just crazy things you can roll, but it means all these things are personalized and customized. Some of them, like the spells, have bigger effects, or they only take place after a delay, or interesting things. But every single spell is actually an entry of several pages, because when you roll that spell activation, the score you get tells you what the effect of the spell is. That is why you might put spell burn in, and that is why they don't need so many spells, because your level goes into the roll as well and everything. So if you've got something that seems fairly ordinary, like magic missile or sleep, because you can be quite high level casting it, it has more of an effect because your roll is higher. If you put spell burn into it, it can be really high. So this might not make a couple of people fall asleep, like D&D, we've had a campaign recently. It's like, I've got a sleep spell. Well, we know this guy's completely immune. He's got more than 4 hit dice, so it doesn't work. Or hang on, I know these guys are 2 hit dice, so I can guarantee I'll get this many people from that group falling asleep. No, it's a roll and it's random. And it can actually really run away from you. It can get completely haywire. And every spell has got this whole list of effects depending on what the roll is. It has its own list of effects for what the failures mean, and if you get that backlash, it has its own list of effects for minor, major, and senior backlash for the spell. So each one is its own kind of interesting, crazy little story. Magic users can also draw on special spells from their patrons, so they get different. They can also sort of summon these patrons or contact these patrons and deal with them, and so you get to talk to, you know, the giant frog god or whatever. So they've got some lovely artwork there showing the stages for magic users. You've got first level, you know, the guy's got his hair back and he's looking cool the way people do the characters, and the next one the guy's looking a bit more haunted, and the next one he's got like one arm's a crab claw, and the next one all his hair's out and he's looking a lot more evil, and the last one he's got a tentacle for an arm and, you know, giant clouds of darkness around him. So there's also a system for magical dueling when two guys meet. Instead of just I throw a spell, he throws a spell. No, they actually kind of meet and kind of try and blast each other back with power. And that's a really nice little system, and it fits into the main combat system. So if it's your go and you're trying to stop this magic user from throwing stuff that might screw up the rest of the party, just these guys are in this amazing duel of wills, and great. So, you know, that's something the game was missing. It is a game that has a big critical hit system. So when you get those critical hits, like you roll 20s and so on, and for warriors that increases as they get better, you roll and there's all these lovely wacky critical hit things that happen, which are different depending on what your class is and what sort of weapons you're using and so on. So again, even the combat isn't staid and stolid and predictable. It's like wee wacky and crazy and out there, which is great. Monsters, they did the same. It's not monsters in boxes that, you know, so they do have a list of monsters, and it is the monsters that we know from D&D. We've got our minotaurs, we've got our kobolds, we've got our gnolls and whatever, but they're very upfront. They say a monster isn't just another monster. Every one of these things should be unpredictable. It should be make you guessing. You should be scared of it. So they've got some interesting charts that look at ways that you can vary the way they look, vary the way they act, give them extra powers. None of this stuff's predictable. All of these things might be, you know, completely different to the guy next to them or what you thought they were going to be. So again, that wonderful level of unpredictability, and they've got powers, and they're very upfront when they say monsters and so on should have powers that characters just can't replicate. These guys run off a different set of rules to you. These are bad guys. These are things that, you know, warp the universe around them. And a great piece of work. The artwork is a delight. So there's lots and lots of crazy artwork, and it's just fun. You know, we've got some quite busy artwork at times, but they've also done a lot of art that is essentially piss takes of recognizable pieces of art from the old judges manuals and players manuals and some of the module things, and often it's those pieces of art but something's going horribly wrong in them, you know. So guy riding down the street firing backwards, you know, looking all heroic, but, you know, in this version you've accidentally like hit a passerby, the guy's about to ride into a tavern sign, all the things that, you know, the original artist didn't think of. So and they've got lots of the cartoony art. I don't know if you remember, but in original advanced D&D, there were little cartoons there. There was like things like a fighter leaping into the arms of the magic user, terrified as a rust monster comes around the corner. So they've got some fun little bits and pieces like that sewn all the way through it. Just letting you know, let's not take these games too seriously. They've got some nice world design rules there, because they're saying you might be feeling a bit snowed under at this point if you're going to run it. It says don't, and it's got beautiful guidelines that's saying you don't need worlds and empires and all this sort of stuff. You just need where everyone lives, because an adventure takes place by stepping out of the front door. So all you need to do is come up with where the guys are. This is the village you've grown up in, or this is the little town that you're stuck in, and some ideas. Here's the place that no one really likes going. Everyone says there's something spooky over there. Someone sort of says that there's something kind of weird happens down there. That road goes to the Big Smoke. This is where everyone goes when they want to go shopping, but it takes a few days. Down that road, that goes to, you know, that creepy town where, you know, they don't know what's going. You just provide some faraways and some in-close hooks, and the people who are playing your game will essentially figure out what they want to do. What is this place that no one wants to go to? Oh, well, they're just, you know, the woods there are really creepy. And you know, then there's that old tower that they just, sometimes they see it, but they can only see it at night time. Wait, so only at night, so it's not there all the time? All right, now they're asking questions. Okay, You find the old guy in the tavern, you ask, etc. So it's got nice guidelines for just developing this theme. So look, lots and lots and lots of adventures done for this with more crazy artwork and so on. They're bringing out at the moment a Dying Earth supplement for Jack Vance. I hope that works. Some of the Jack Vance Dying Earth stuff is fun and frenetic, which I can see would work with this. The Jack Vance books are oddly non-violent, so if you're trailing on getting XP for bashing things on the head, it might be a great environment. So look, lots and lots of positive stuff about this, which, I mean, like, yeah, get it. But, now here's the but. As part of their being crazy, crazy guys, they decided they would use lots of geodesic dice. And now we drink. D4, D6, D8, D10, D12, D20 percentile dice. Fine. Oh no! One of these guys brought in. So they've also got, they've got D3s, D4s, D5s, D6s, D7s, D8s, D10s, D12s, D14s, D16s, D20s, D24s and D30s. Oh my god. They produced these dice. Now I've got a set here which I'm not going to show you because no one needs that level of sanity rolls on their conscience. I mean, this sort of game's been my life. I really can't tell these geodesic dice apart. Am I looking at the D14 or the D16? Maybe I should make a box that's got them all color-coded and they come out one at a time, but no one needs that. So they used these dice because I thought it'd be wild and frenetic and give more spread, and this is fine, and it does creep into a lot of these charts they've done. It's a D16 chart, it's a D14 chart, it's a D5 chart. Now you can simulate a lot of these things. Back in the day there were no D20s. We had a dice that was essentially a D10 and a D6. You just roll them together. 4, 5 and 6, you add 10 to the 10-sided dice. So you can do that. Or you can roll a D20 and just ignore. So if I need to roll a D16, I just roll a D20 and ignore 17 or higher. Or I roll a D8 and a D6. You know, I just double the value of one of it. Comes up 4, 5, 6 on the D6 roll. You can figure that out if you have to. So it's a little mechanical thing that you're going to have to work with if you're going to do the game. I mean, if you're playing this online, of course, you just can plug it into your online dice. There are online dice apps, but I like rolling things. So you can kind of work around these things. The fact that they're in there doesn't wreck it. I just ideally wish they had chosen not to do it because it is like a little stumbling block. But look, if you wanted to play a D&D style of game, but that game is more unpredictable, more frenetic, in many ways more joyous, doesn't have the cookie cutter sameness kind of feel that D&D has, where every monster is unique, where the players are guessing all the time, where people don't throw spells around because it could cost them. So they think before they use those resources, where the character classes are way more differentiated from each other. So like the thieves and their luck, the halflings and their ability to be good luck charms and so on, the elves and their abilities, even the warriors have really kind of got something of their own in this. Then look, I think it's for you. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's wild, it's crazy. Of all the redos of D&D, this is the one that kept kind of that core system and that core setting idea. We've got elves, we've got dwarves, we've got halflings, we've got warriors, we've got clerics and whatever, and actually kind of ran with that and did something truly different and truly worthwhile. It's by Goodman Games. They've got their own website up there, goodmangames.com obviously. Really, really heartily recommend it. It's crazy and yeah, you'll love it. Cheers!